All right, here we go. Grant Cardone, welcome back.
Man, last time I did a show with you, I was like, I'm never doing a show with him again.
Really? Why not?
It was long, man. You exhausted me.
That's what we do. We have long interviews.
Yeah. It's all good.
Well, I appreciate you coming back.
Different world we're living in right now, huh?
Oh, yeah. And first and foremost, how are you and your family doing health-wise?
Oh, we're good. We're good. I just got back. I was actually separated from the wife and Scarlett. I got two kids. Sabrina was with me. We went on a trip. I'd planned on bringing them in, but where I went to, I got quarantined there. The hotel was quarantined actually and wouldn't let any new visitors in. So I've been separated from them from 21 days. So I just got back last night.
Great, man. Great. I mean, that's the most important thing, that everybody's healthy. The money will come and go, but the health is the most important thing.
Yeah, well, it's all important. To me, it's all important.
It's all important.
Because, if I'm going to really take care of my health and my family, I mean, it just so happens, and we're all finding this out right now, you got to have money.
Yeah, that's true. That's very true. Well, there's been economic crashes before, but nothing on this level. So,
Agree?
How has your business been affected?
Well, it's been affected. Number one, I got the news of this thing going down before maybe some other people knew. I got a phone call that said, "Hey, something's about to happen. It's very serious, and it's gonna roll out in stages." So I started making some moves about 3 weeks ago in order to protect myself, knowing going through a number of crises and contractions, some of which I just completely got run over, others which I learned from, and others where I'm like, okay, I'm definitely going to position myself. Like in 2008, I knew I put together the math on that deal to understand what do I need to do so that the next time this happens, I'm better equipped. 3 weeks ago, I started making some immediate moves in my organization that some of my executives thought was a bit reactive. Looking back now, it was not reactive, it was proactive. Knowing that every business on the planet, forget the United States, every business on the planet, every individual, every household, it don't matter, poor, middle class, rich, super wealthy, would be affected. I didn't know to this degree. I didn't think about, oh my gosh, man, the Burger King's going to be closed. The pizza parlor is going to be closed. The shopping centers are going to be closed. I didn't think about this enormity, right? The massive magnitude of this. But certainly we have clients. We have 1,800 people that pay us on a monthly basis. I got 8,000 families that depend on their housing from me. And all those people, every one of them has been affected.
Well, you have multiple businesses, the biggest of which seems to be the multi-unit rental business. Is that correct?
It is. It's the biggest because of the value proposition, the amount of debt involved, the amount of families involved. But our online business is enormous. There's millions of customers, and a couple thousand corporate clients that depend on us every month for online content.
Okay, so you have the multi-unit rental business, you have the online business, then you also have the live event business.
Yeah, the live event business. I mean, we finished our live event December 24th or 5th in Vegas. Me and Kevin Hart were on stage. The next thing, I went on this project that I'm doing right now, and 3 weeks later, the whole world had come to an end.
Right. I mean, live events are decimated at this point.
I'm so fortunate, so grateful that we were able to get probably the last large event on the planet was in Las Vegas, Mandalay Bay. I had Kevin Hart, Floyd Mayweather, Dana White, John Travolta, like a list of just like super celebs and business people. It was a phenomenal event. But that event, they're saying that live events could be off until October 2021.
Yep. Fall 2021 is at the earliest they're estimating right now.
Yeah, I don't believe that to be true. I think I think I'll hold a July event. I believe that I'll pull that off in July this year for 700 people. But maybe I'm being optimistic. I have 100%, 99% certainty that I'll have my February event next year.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think the biggest problem with live events is who's going to feel safe sitting next to thousands of strangers when there's no vaccine and there's no treatment. You know, Bill Gates said he doesn't see live events happening until there's a vaccine. And I mean, it remains to be seen. Things in China seem to be getting somewhat back to normal, but then again, China doesn't have free speech, so you're not quite sure what's really happening over there.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, Nike and Apple and Starbucks are opening stores back up in China, and those are run by American CEOs. So you're thinking, well, maybe it is legit, but you know, everyone's still kind of not sure. This is like a biblical level event.
It is, man. It is biblical, but you got to believe that the world is not going to come to an end, and I have reason to believe that. It's not that I'm just being optimistic. It's just all you got to do is read history. We keep coming back somehow. This organism called the human being has a propensity to live and exist and be social. So it's not real to me that we're not going to have people in public. I don't think the handshake is dead. I don't think the high five is dead. I'm ready to hug it out with you right now. That being said, I don't depend on live events either.
Well, let's talk about what I think a lot of my audience looks to you for, which is your multi-unit business.
Okay.
So you have 8,000 units, is that correct? Okay. So with those 8,000 units, it's kind of an interesting situation because a lot of people look at multi-unit properties, residential properties that is, as recession-proof. And the catchphrase is, well, people need a place to live no matter what.
Yeah.
And everyone still has to pay rent no matter what. But now we're in a situation that's a little bit different because suddenly all these people are unemployed. And in April, 69% of Americans didn't pay any portion of their April. No, I'm sorry. Only 69% of Americans paid any portion of their April rent.
Yeah.
Which is a huge drop from the previous month. I think like a 10 or 15% drop.
Yeah. So here's the real data on that. Okay. Look, I know a guy he had 6% collections as of April 4th. I was at 94%, almost 93.8 or almost 94% on April 6th. I was on the phone with 5 guys. One of them owns 180,000 units. Another owns 60,000 units. Another one owns 4,000 units. These guys, every one of these guys except one of them was over 90%. The worst was 88%. The worst market in the country he had is New York. He was off 30% in New York. Not one person reported a 69% number. Now, that being said, I know a guy that's got 6% collections because he's doing all low-end, government subsidized. They're not living paycheck to paycheck. They were broke before this crisis. And I know there's those people out there. So there's a lot of misinformation about everything right now, including Tiger King. But there's a lot of misinformation about the multifamily that I know about just because I'm playing this game right now. So like the no eviction rule, the forbearance, everybody's going to get forbearance. You don't have to pay your rent. That's not actually true, okay? The tenant, at the level that I rent at, I'm at a $1,200 to $1,800 a month rental. This is not an unaffordable rental, meaning at $36,000 a year, you can pay a $1,200 a month rent. Family of 3, let's say, Bob, his wife or his boyfriend, and his 1 child. They're paying $1,200 a month to rent from me. It's a nice place. It's safe. It's secure. There's a swimming pool, whether you can use that or not right now isn't the issue, but you got security. It's gated. It provides the family with a little park to go to. These are large properties, not like you think about in New York. They're all vertical. I have a deal in Austin, Texas. It's got 88 acres of land for 456 families. 88 acres. That means every family's got a third of an acre. So these are garden styles, called garden style. They're spread out. They're affordable. They're safe. They're secure. we're at over 90% on every property we own. Collected April. Now, let me just be the first naysayer, because I'm probably the most negative person in the apartment space. I am genetically a negative person. Okay, I always wait for the worst case scenario. These properties that guys like me buy, you cannot over leverage them. Meaning I have some of these properties, the deal in Austin with 88 acres, I have $40 million I put down there. The property's $100 million. I owe 60 on it. So is it worth 60 million? I mean, I got Apple Computer and Facebook as tenants. So again, it goes back to location. It goes back. It's not all real estate is not created equal. Housing, single family homes in this country are going to be destroyed. We're going to go from 63% ownership probably down to 57 or 56. Last weekend, JP Morgan Chase increased the down payment on a single family to 20%. Minimum down payment's 20%. The beacon score or the credit score has to be a 700 to get a mortgage. Housing's over. So anybody that was going to buy a house, let's just do the practical what happens here. Anybody that was going to buy a house, they got to put on a $200,000 house, they got to put $40,000 down. On a $400,000 house, $80,000 on. On a $600,000 house, I need 120 grand. They didn't have that before this crisis. They don't have it now. And you got to have a better credit score, and you got to have a job that's secure. All that's off the table. So if I'm not going to live in a house, where do I live? Number one. Number two, if I'm losing my job, Dave has either lost his job, he's been cut, meaning he still has his job, but they cut his pay, or three, they left him alone. He has his job and his pay, but he's still uncertain. And he was renting an apartment on March 21st. This happened. Is he still a renter? He lost his job. He's looking for a job now. The last thing he needs to do is go move across country. And even if he does move across country to go live with mama, in June or July, when this thing lifts and people are back to hiring, you got 16 million people rushing back to a location to get a job. So this goes back to job markets. Where do you want to be? Tampa, Orlando, Miami, Fort Lauderdale, west side of Florida, the Southeast. It's like the smiley face, okay? If you could be in the smiley face of America, this part of America, from Arizona down to Florida and up to Maryland, you're probably going to be safe here.
Well, I actually looked it up. 69% of Americans paid any portion of their rent in April.
You looked it up on the internet. You looked it
right.
up on
Well,
the internet.
no. I mean, I looked it up in actual articles. In March, the number was 81%. So we had a 12% drop from March to April. Now, You're right. It's across the board.
But across all types of properties. Again,
Exactly.
You're counting the $4,000 rental, the $8,000 rental, and you're talking about the $400 rental that's a government subsidized deal, okay? You're also including in there, and I'm not arguing with you, I'm just telling you there's a lot of data not in there. College, student housing has had its fucking nuts cut right off of it, okay? Little Ben was at Arizona State. This shit happens. Ben can't go to class. The fucking college is closed. His daddy said, get home. Probably his mama said, get back here, Benny. I got to take care of you, okay? The coronavirus is least lethal than the mother is, but he ran home, okay? Ran home to mama, and they quit paying their rent there. So student housing, I've never touched student housing because it's dependent upon colleges for the housing.
Right, and there's also rotation every 4 years or less.
Yeah, and there's just, again, you're including all these numbers in this big populace of housing. You're including the New York numbers. I don't own any real estate in New York.
Right. Well, the federal government did a 90-day moratorium on evictions by HUD. Now, that includes the housing projects and, Section 8 and so forth. But, I have a close friend of mine who does big real estate deals. He explained to me that a lot of loans are HUD loans. So if you have a HUD loan, then those rules apply to that property as well. Yeah. So a lot of these And I guess they give HUD loans to like depressed areas and so forth. So across the country, you can't evict people for 90 days.
Yeah, I don't have a HUD loan. Okay,
Yeah.
number one. Number two, nobody wants to evict anybody right now.
Yeah.
Like, no landlord ever wants to evict someone. Everybody understands what's going on right now. So what happened when that thing came out, says no evictions? Well, it's not actually true. Let me just tell you, there's laws, and then there's natural laws. And natural laws always supersede the real law, the written law. The natural law is this. I'm Dave. I'm a renter. I've been a renter for 6 or 7 years. Renters understand the game, the natural law of renting. Hey, I should pay my rent even if I don't like this place, particularly if I don't like this place, because I want to leave here and go to another better place. Well, guess what? If you don't pay your rent here, you don't get to go to a better place. You end up going to a worser place. So that's the natural law, okay? Nobody wants to be evicted right now. Nobody wants to move right now. We had the highest renewals I have ever had in 30 years. Renewal being my lease is coming due. It just happened to be rolling due in April. We had almost double the highest renewal I've ever had because people are like, I got enough instability in my life. I don't need to not know where I'm going to go live. And by the way, I'm not even supposed to be going outside right now. So how do I go look for another place to live? So people will quit paying for something though. You know that and I know that. They're going to quit buying stuff at Bloomingdale's or maybe the Adidas store or the Nike store, or they're not going to buy the Peloton bike. Maybe they let their car go. This is what happened in 2008. People walked away from their homes and kept their car. This was pre-Uber. So I'm just looking for what's the behavior going to be next time, Vlad. Okay. In 2008, we were all shocked. People walked away from their house, take it, and I'm keeping my BMW. This time they could say, here's the house, here's the BMW. I can Uber because Uber doesn't care what my credit score is and don't need a down payment, but I still need a place to live.
The thing is though, when you talk about the long-term ramifications, you know, nobody is getting evicted right now because cities and states have basically shut down evictions and the courts aren't even open and so forth. So, but people aren't just excusing rent. They're saying, okay, look, if you can't pay rent this month, you know, just pay it back later. But who's really going to pay that rent back later when they weren't working during that time? A typical middle-class person, they're just going into a hole. So chances are there's going to be a lot of rent lost by the landlords. And look, at the end of the day, landlords are seen as villains in the society. No one feels sorry that a landlord can't pay his mortgage.
Yeah.
That's just the reality of it. Now, same thing as employers. Employers like myself are seen as villains.
Sure.
You know, when I'm the one that's, you know, supporting dozens of people and making sure that they could eat. But
Yeah.
at the end of the day, no one's going to feel sorry for Grant Cardone if he has to foreclose on a property.
Dude, I hope
You
not.
see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, you know, how bad is the situation in terms of, because I think, didn't we talk about this last time, how if the value of your property goes down significantly, the bank, and based on the mortgage that you have with the bank, can't the bank turn around and say, well, if you don't pay off the entire mortgage right now because of the reduced price, we're going to take back the whole property? That happened to you in 2007, right? Or 2008?
Well, it's a little more complicated than that in 8, but you got the right idea. I mean, you could go into technical default if I do, the entire country does.
Right.
So look, this event is so big. It is so big, it is almost a non-event because of its magnitude. So if Johnny doesn't pay the rent, and if it was a federally mandated law, okay, so Fannie and Freddie are saying, hey, yeah, you can do the no eviction. I've been on the phone call with every one of my lenders for 20 days. I know exactly what each lender is going to do, what the threshold is, worst case scenarios. Like, I'm not reading it off the internet. I'm going straight to my lender that I owe over $1 billion to. So, you know, I have their attention. In 2008, I owed $50 million. Somebody said, hey, what's the mistake you made? I didn't know enough. So for all your viewers that already hate my guts, you know, hey guys, here's the deal. You got to owe them a bunch to get them to pay attention to you. And the mistake I made last time was not because I had debt. It was because I didn't have enough debt. And every time I hear this bullshit about the government's going to no evictions and no evictions, the natural law is that people will pay. We saw that in March already. Now, that's the natural law. Then there is the law. Okay, good. Okay, so if the federal government says I can't evict, then that puts a lot of pressure on the lenders to not collect the mortgage. Because if you think people hate landlords, how do they feel about banks? And then how do they feel about the government? So look, man, there's enough hate to go around for everybody. I'm not playing the hate game right now. I'm playing hey, what happens post COVID-19? That's what I want to know. I want to be in a position not to make the mistake I made last time. And the mistake I made last time was I didn't go out and buy a bunch of real estate after this shit happened. So I was on a call the other day. There's over $100 billion worth of real estate on this call. Many of these guys know more about real estate than they forgot more than I know. And they asked the question on that call, how much have values been hit? And Grant, you can go first. I said, I ain't lost a penny because I'm not a seller for 10 years. I buy stuff for 10 years. You know that. You and I have had that conversation. I buy for 10-year cycles with discretion to hold another 10 if I want to. You know, I mean, some of my real estate I may never sell. So this is that Warren Buffett idea. And so I said, if you guys are sellers, please let me know because I'd love your number. I'll call you in about 9 months when you're ready to sell because there's no way you're ready yet. So for all of you out there that you think, oh my God, there's going to be blood in the water and I'm going to go out and I'm going to buy real estate and I'm going to steal stuff now. You're not going to do anything right now. There is nothing to do right now in April 15th or whatever the date is. There won't be anything to play on until probably November, December, maybe January next year. If there is anything.
That's when it's going to get real bad, you think?
I'm just saying there's not, the people that are being trouble on deals are going to be like a guy built 300 units and he's coming out of the ground right now. He's got 30 of them rented, pre-leased. He's not going to be able to service all the loans he's got on this deal.
Well, yeah. I mean, the friend of mine that I talk to all the time, who's in DC, who has, I think like a 150 unit deal that he's a partner of. He told me just this morning that right now 70% of the people are paying rent in his complex. They need 75% to break even. So he's actually cutting checks right now to keep things going. So hopefully things are going to improve. Different areas, different situations, I understand, but it's going to be tough for everyone.
Yeah, what's his rent? Do you know the average rent there?
I do not. Probably a little bit higher than what you're talking about because we're talking about
Washington. Exactly. See, that's what I was going to
say. Washington, D.C. is a more expensive area than Florida.
Exactly. So, this is the thing about recessions. When you're in a recession, this is who gets hit first. The people that make the most money in a company need to be the ones that are most scared. Okay, if you're overpaid in your job, not in your head, by the way. I'm talking about if you're overpaid in your job based on everybody else. If you're the top 3, 4, 5 people most paid in your company, you're at risk in a contraction because they're not going to cut the little guy without cutting some of the beefier people. If you're not tied to revenue, you're at risk. Okay, and number 3, if you're new, you're at risk. Like we let people go at my company 3 weeks ago. I let 42 people go. So. 30 of those 42 people we had just hired in the previous 30 days. I knew we were going remote. It was impossible for me to educate, train, to bring them on, to get them incubated into our system, to make them part of our culture. I said, what am I doing here? This is nuts. And my team was like, they're great people. I said, I understand they're great people, but would you hire them today? No. Good. Then we have to let them go today because this happened. First of all, I was sick in January. I think Corona's been through the country once. I was so sick, Vlad, like I lost 2 days of my life. I do not remember those 2 days. And it was almost like, it didn't feel like a normal flu to me. It felt like a synthetic flu. It felt like something had been put in me that was synthetic, that was artificial. So for all your conspiracy people, because I know, man, you bring them in like fucking crazy, dude. It was something. I'm 63 years old. How old am I? 62, something like that. I have never ever felt a Monday and a Tuesday. I woke up on Tuesday afternoon and said, "Hey, what day is it and what month is it?" I had no clue.
Well, let's go ahead and talk about the whole layoff thing.
Yeah.
You made a video on March 23rd. You said that you had 250 employees in real estate and 120 employees in other businesses.
Uh-huh.
You said that on that date that you laid off 42 employees. Now, when I was kind of gearing up for this interview and I said, hey, I'm going to be interviewing Grant Cardone, what should I ask him? The one thing that I kept seeing over and over again is that Grant Cardone fired his entire staff.
Yeah.
Without any sort of warning, and that he sent his lawyers after him and threatened to sue them if they said anything. This is the rumor that's been circulating that people keep reposting, and it doesn't matter who said it, but I just kept seeing it in the comments. So let's just go ahead and address that from the horse's mouth.
So yeah, we laid off 42 people, and I didn't, dude. I hate laying people off. I didn't hire these people so I could get rid of them. And the numbers are we have 102 employees here in Miami right now. Cardone Training Technologies, 10X Productions, 10X Media, 10X Events, and Cardone Capital. Okay, there's 102, I think, on payroll right now, not including me, by the way. We also have, not including my wife. I think she's on the payroll somewhere, but we don't pay her anything. I'm like, well, I'm not paying you. So, and she wants some money, but 102 employees here, full-time employees, not 1099 employees. Full-time, healthcare, benefits, blah, blah, blah. We let 42 people go out of this company. We let, I have another, I think there's probably 423 across the real estate between me and the management company. So there's some still today, probably 500 and I want to stay under my 500 number for the government too, right?
Right.
Because over 500, you go into another note. Now that's not an issue for me because they're separate companies. But that being said, 100%, we let 42 people go. I hated letting them go. One person we let go, he had a girlfriend here. She quit the same day and went with him back to Texas. I'm like, why would she do that? You know, we've cut almost every person in the company somehow, some way. And it is extremely painful as a business owner. Now, why would I hire somebody to get rid of them? And there was no warning. Let me just tell you, there was no warning. There was no warning about a coronavirus. There was no warning. There was no warning that people would get sick in Wuhan, bring it here. There was no warning that every Starbucks, Burger King, Taco Bell, McDonald's, fucking Uber, Amazon, that people would be getting sick and dying. I knew a week before everybody else knew that I would not be able to bring people into my office. You know, I was told about the face mask and the ventilators and hospitals being overwhelmed long before the CNN got a hold of it. So yeah, there was no notice. I'm doing it to save my company and to save and be responsible to the other 102 families that I'm responsible for just here, plus the other 370 plus around the country in the real estate, and the 8,000 families that depend on me for good housing. So 100%, man, that's what bosses do.
Yeah, I mean, I have a staff of around a dozen people, and everyone still has their job. Nobody's gotten a lowered salary. Everyone still has their health benefits, which was a big accomplishment for us. And, advertising is going to be going down and so forth. And we understand that, and we've prepared for it. We have cash reserves, and we're rethinking how the whole business goes, but it's tough. And people have to realize there's a big difference between getting fired and being laid off.
Yeah.
Because when someone gets laid off, they get unemployment benefits. And especially now, the Fed has actually increased those benefits by an extra, I think, like $600 a week or something.
$600 a week, yeah.
Yeah. So firing someone versus laying them off is a big difference.
And And Vlad, we gave everybody was given what's it called? Severance. Every person was paid. But look, if you're going to come work for me, if you ever have a chance of coming to work for me, you could be fired. You could be late. There's no promise or guarantee here. Fucking go get a relationship. Okay? She can bounce on you. She can go sleep with somebody else. She can walk out on you. Go get in a relationship. People die. Things happen. Shit happens. This is a real fucking planet, man. It's called gravity. I've been telling people about this for years. I told them the last time on your show and the time before that, we will experience the highest unemployment before there was any threat of a coronavirus. You will experience the highest in our lifetime, the highest unemployment we have ever experienced in our lifetime. This was a year ago. I was in your show in New York. We're experiencing it right now. 16 million people. It just so happened I got ahead of this thing by about a week and a half. And then everybody starts tapping out, okay? If you had 50 employees right now, I guarantee you'd have let some of them go. But you only have 12.
Yeah. No,
so,
I feel you.
So the question is, why didn't you have 50? See, because I had 152. So I'm more at risk because my payroll's bigger. So last year we paid out $14 million in payroll, not commissions, just payroll. Another $14 million in commissions to people that work for me. So all the haters out there, you guys, every motherfucker out there that hated on me because I got rid of somebody, it's because you probably lost your fucking job too. Or you worried about it, you know? Or you're like, dude, how could the guy be so cold and let somebody go right now? Because you need to grow up. You guys need to grow up and understand this is the real world, man. And let me also say this. For every one of you cheap motherfuckers out there that don't spend money, that's a form of firing people. When you don't hire somebody, when you cook your own pizza, rather than calling somebody and say, deliver me a pizza so you can save $12, you fired somebody. Okay, for every vendor that you don't pay because you owe some money, for every bill that you don't pay because you can't pay, you're firing someone. People have to keep spending and moving money. Okay, the last thing I'm gonna say about the unemployment thing, for everybody out there that does get fired, there's gonna be a bunch of them. We're gonna go to 30 million. We're gonna go to 30 million unemployed in America, probably 15, 16%. For all of you that get fired, don't leave. Don't leave where you work. When they say, hey, we got to let you go, say, no, you don't got to let me go. Just quit paying me. Don't lose your money and your job. Just say, keep the money and let me stay and work for nothing. Because at least you don't have to start all over from nothing and no money. I got 42 people. I'm like, guys, not one person said, I'll just stay for nothing. Like, don't leave. The last job I was fired from, I was fired 6 times. And I just wouldn't leave.
Yeah. I mean, 17 million people have filed for unemployment.
Yeah.
6 million new people per week have been filing. And you said it, that's almost 1 million people per day, million new people. The previous record for new people filing was 700,000 in a week in 1982, which was 40 years ago.
Yeah. I was 22 years old.
Yeah.
I was just getting out of college. It was 25% unemployment where I lived. But that's when they counted the numbers correctly. Okay, you got to remember there was probably 20 million people not in that don't get counted in any of the calculations. The way we got to the 3.5% was a thing called seasonally adjusted unemployment. Years ago, I think it was the Nixon or the Carter administration that said, look, we're counting unemployment numbers incorrectly because in the January, February, March, December, January, February, it's cold up in the north and we don't build as much. So let's go ahead and adjust the unemployment numbers because they kept falling those 3 months of the year. Let's adjust that, spread it across 9 months, turn that into a new 12 months, and then do the seasonally adjusted. So the numbers are going to, it's going to continue. And then what's going to happen is when we open the doors back up, if we do, contrary to your opinion that we never go outside again, people are going to go back to work. I can't wait to call 40 of the 42 back. Because 2 of them I'm not calling back.
Well, we now
40
have
of them I'm calling back and say, get your ass back over here. Let's go back to work.
Well, we now have trillions of dollars in terms of the stimulus package. Number one, is the $1,200 one-time payment going to make a dent at all?
Stupid.
Yeah.
That was ridiculous. The second I saw it, I said, guys, give these people some money. But you got to remember where the other money's going to, too. That's the other thing.
Businesses. Right?
It's going to unemployment. The unemployment's a real number. You know, that's not part of that 1,200. So when I got a $600 a week pop for 39 weeks, that's a lot of money. The problem is anybody that takes the temptation to take off 39 weeks, you're done for the rest of your career. You don't have a career. You can't explain 39 weeks away on a resume. I'm never going to buy it. Not good people are not going to buy it. They're going to be like, look, what happened here? Oh, I understand it was terrible, but fuck, come on, man, 39? If you just lost your job, the time to look for a new job is right this second if you walked away from your last one. Because you got to remember, in 39 weeks, 16 million people are all going to be looking at the same time. So you don't want to take it. If you're going to take if you're going to take unemployment, take it for a very short period of time and go back to work where you just lost your job.
Well, one of the things that's sort of in the news right now, which is kind of interesting, I wanted to get your opinion on it, is the Airbnb market. A lot of people are saying that this is actually going to just destroy the personal housing market because you have all these people that have all these Airbnbs and no one's going to be renting them. They're not going to be able to pay their mortgage. They don't have 100 units where they could have a conversation with the banks and so forth. And you're going to see somewhat of an implosion. What do you think about Airbnbs? Because you don't do Airbnb at all.
Done. It's done. Depends on travel. You see, Airbnb depends on travel. When the economy contracts, what happens? I'm not going to go on a cruise. I'm not going to go to the hotel. I'm not staying at the Marriott. And I'm not going to do the Airbnb thing. So look, I can't even go. I want to go to a house right now. I want to go rent a house. I'm like, hey, where can we go right now? Can I go to St. Bart's? I can't work. Can I go to St. Bart's? I can't go any place, dude. I can't go to an Airbnb even if I wanted to. So again, when you're buying real estate, I buy real estate that is dependent upon nothing except I'm a carpenter and I need a place to live while I'm in Austin. And I'm not going to stay here for the rest of my life, but maybe we will. Maybe I'll meet my girl here and get her pregnant, and then we'll have a baby and we'll decide we love Austin and stay here, and then I'll buy a house. But that's off the table now.
Well, last time in our interview, you said cash is trash.
So I'm storing the money and knowing, I still do this today. Every day, first thing I do every day is look at my cash accounts to figure out where can I get rid of this trash. Cash is trash.
Do you still believe that right now?
100%. It's garbage.
How so?
Because how do you get a mask?
With cash?
Exactly. Cash is worthless. It is only good until you use it. Okay? If you want toilet paper, you need cash. If you want food, you need cash. If you want ammunition, you need cash. If you got your credit card, you can only use it so long before you got to pay it off. They're going to tap you out and you need cash. So cash is only good as long as you can buy something with it. Okay. If you want to go buy some apartments, good. Buy some apartments. You should. I mean, I would rather have a bunch of apartments that has future value connected to it, particularly when they're printing trillions. This is $10 trillion. They're not advertising the first 6 they buried. Okay. There's almost $10 trillion already in 25 days. What's the cash worth? Is it worth more or less if we're printing it?
Less.
If the last time I talked to you, it was cash is trash, now it's just shit. Right? Because what you want is assets. If we go into inflation, if we went into hyperinflation, what gets lifted? And I don't wish for that, okay, because it will be so painful for so many people. I mean, it'll be the end of any possibility for people. But what does it lift? It lifts real assets.
Well, are we in a recession right now?
No, dude, go back to our last show. I told you we were in a recession. See, they just don't judge recessions based on households. They judge recessions based on GDPs, which is a bullshit number because nobody cares about it. The GDP is the gross domestic product. How much product did the country sell? Okay, the country hasn't even been doing very well. It's just the rich people doing well. And it just so happens I figured out how to squirt into the rich club. But I'm really just an everyday guy. I don't use big words. Dude, the average everyday guy has been in a recession since 2008. Nothing got any better. Incomes didn't go up. We've had a little bit of an income pop in the last maybe three quarters. But it's flat, dude. Housing, the value of a house goes up like this, and maybe your income travels along it. Now that asset that people are invested in, this thing called the house, it's going to take a whack again. So that went away. The 401k got hit. The mutual fund, the ETF, your retirement funds got hit and hammered again. Now your job's at risk. Jobs around the entire country, everything got pulled back. We're not talking about minimum wage anymore. We're not talking about income inequality. We're talking about what? Am I going to get sick? And people are buying toilet paper with money. They couldn't afford toilet paper before this shit happened. Now they rush out and say, I got to get my Charmin.
Okay, so let's talk about the stock market for a second. So in the beginning of this, everyone started sending me videos from you where you're telling people that you need to sell all your stocks right now. This was like, 3 weeks ago or so, including your 401k. Now, my response to that was that, look, I interviewed Grant Cardone twice. In both of our interviews, he's admitted to me that he doesn't own any stocks. So Grant telling everyone to sell all their stocks, to me, holds as much weight as me telling everyone to sell all their multi-unit properties.
Yeah, but the difference is, Vlad, I appreciate that, but the difference is, dude, I told people to sell their stocks the last time I was on your show.
Right.
And I told them to sell their house too.
Yeah.
And I even said, hey, if you have a house and you have any equity in it, sell it because you might not be able to in the future. So I don't like stocks. I mean, it's not like I've been out there protecting. I'm not shorting the market.
Right.
You know, and I would tell people today, even with the market up over 20% in those 3 weeks, sell every stock that you have. The everyday man has no business investing in the stock market. You don't know what you're doing. You don't know where it's going. You don't know how the company works. You don't know about the leverage. You don't know who's stealing. You don't know shit. You're gambling. Okay? You know enough to know that you can be at the table. Okay? And you think you know what you're doing, but you don't know what's in that deck. And it's just a gamble.
Okay. So we always disagree about this. So we can go ahead and discuss it.
Whatever. I just think people need income, man. People need stability. People don't need more uncertainty.
Okay.
And unless you know how to play the stock market where you win 60% of the time, you shouldn't be in it. And I don't know a lot of people that win 60% of the time.
Well, I mean, I'll be honest. When this started happening, just like everyone else, I started to panic. I said, well, should I just sell my entire stock portfolio and go into cash? Like, I had that thought. I talked to a friend of mine and we discussed it. He's a financial advisor, not my financial advisor. He's just a friend. But me and him had a long talk about this. And he's in his 50s. He's been through multiple crashes before.
Yeah.
And he told me something very, very serious. He said, look, historically, the stock market has recovered from crashes 100% of the time.
That's right.
So if you're choosing now, if you're 59 years old, 62 years old, and you're getting ready to retire, then selling right now is a very good decision, because you don't know a year or two from now what's going to happen. But if you're looking at your 401k, you're looking at long-term investing 5, 10, 20 years from now, for you to sell everything else, sell everything off, thinking that it'll never recover, you're betting against 100%. Now, it could happen. For the first time ever, it could not recover, but you're betting against 100%. There's been pandemics before. There's been major crashes. There's been wars. There's been 9/11.
Yeah.
But you're betting against 100%.
Yeah, I don't know that when you say, 100% of the time the stock market comes back, but
Yes.
not all the companies come back.
Well, the index, the S&P 500, the top 500 companies, 100% of the time.
Okay. So okay, but those 500 companies, they change too. They rotate. A lot of the companies
Right.
that were in it 10 years ago don't even exist today.
100%. When you buy an index fund, you have a never-changing list. It changes automatically for you. You don't have to worry about that. But
You don't have to worry about it. You don't have to worry about it. I got it.
Right.
It sounds like the car dealer. You don't worry about it. I got it.
Well,
I'm just saying, bro.
It's done by a computer.
But that's my point. That's my point. My point is, don't worry about it. We got you. I don't fucking know what I'm doing, man.
Okay.
I don't even know what's in it. It's the index. How many stocks? What are they invested in? What? Like, I need income. People need income today. This is my point. If you need income the way I do, if you're a rich dude, fine. Fucking do whatever you want. Buy a house, buy a yacht, whatever you want to do it, right? But if you're like me, when I grew up, I needed money coming in. I didn't need, I hope this thing scores. I'm gonna score some Bitcoin, or I'm gonna go buy some gold and go. My brother told me, he's like, I'm gonna buy some gold. I said, what for? He's like, because it's going up. I'm like, you don't need it to go. Like, dude, just get stability in your life.
Yeah.
And again, I've made it very clear to everybody, I am a coward when it comes to investing. That's why I invest in real assets, good locations that provide cash flow. Worst case is I wait it out, and I just understand it. So you got to remember, when I'm telling people that, I'm telling people that I think are my audience, that are maybe being pulled towards the stock market because they think this is the entry point. And I'm like, leave it alone, man. You just found out you don't need to worry about that part of your life.
We could agree to disagree on this part.
Whatever, man. Whatever. I still like you, man. I still do your show,
I like you too. Personally, I think in the long term, my opinion is that this is a great time to invest. And I've actually been, what had happened was, when this originally happened, when the crash first happened, I looked at some of the stocks that I felt were weaker in my portfolio, and I just started dumping them off.
I love that.
And then as things jumped up, like for example, last week was the biggest stock market weekly gain in 46 years.
Yeah.
Now, as these stocks were jumping up, a lot of the stocks that I was kind of iffy on, that I bought right before the crash, I started just selling them off at a slight loss. And I started to have a bigger cash position. Because let me tell you, and this is going to mess people up. Like you, I've always been anti-buying your personal house. I've been renting for 15 years now. But for the first time in 15 years, we're now looking to buy a personal house. Because, number one, the interest rates are the lowest they've ever been. Not just our lifetime, ever. And you have severely falling home prices.
Yeah.
So we're now in a situation where, like, okay, well, we're paying this much for rent.
Yeah, it might be a good time. I agree with that.
Yeah.
By the way, you need 6 to 8 months for this thing to wash out, to get to that place. It'll take at least that long to get there. And also, the debt market's not going to actually give you a very good loan today. You even though the rates are the lowest, you're not going to see it in the debt market yet. Last thing is, I 100% agree. If you're a stock guy, right now would be the time to unload out of that fund and be, hey, I'm going to buy Boeing if it gets back to a 120 again. I'm going to buy some Disney. I'm going to buy some great companies.
Yeah.
And maybe I'm going to get rid of I'm in a fund. Are you in a fund, or are you in individual stocks?
No, I was in individual stocks myself. But like, for example, my Amazon stock just went up today to its all-time high.
Yeah.
Do you really think that Amazon is going to go to zero?
No. And Vlad, just so you know, when I tell people, hey man, sell your stocks right now, I had a buy order in at Amazon at $16.50.
There you go.
It hit it. By the way, it hit $16.42. I had canceled the order like 30 minutes before. I said, I think it's going lower. And I do, by the way. I think the market's going to go test the $20,000, the 20,000 mark.
Oh yeah, no, I think that there's lots of pain ahead. Like I'm in no hurry. Like this is a very interesting time because the pandemic is actually offering a lot of opportunities for people that are prepared for it. Yeah. And at first I was sort of thrown off, but I'm like, okay, look, with stocks, I could cash out certain parts of it very quickly. In a split second, I could raise millions of dollars if I need to. Yeah. And like, you're going to be able to buy damn near anything for pennies on the dollar. Like I hit up my jewelers. I said, are the rappers selling their watches yet? Because, I might be able to get a Patek for 50% off in the next coming months.
And you, look, I'm wearing a big one right now. Like right. This thing's probably worth half of what it was worth.
Exactly. Exactly.
And again, this is what I've told people. Look, what I do, and what I tell people to do, I don't tell people to do two different things because I'm a hypocrite. I went and bought this because I'm in a different position. Sell the stocks the same day I'm looking at Amazon trying to buy Boeing at the same time. But I'm not like I'm gonna pick a couple, but that's not my game. My game is this other thing. Mm-hmm. And look, I again, I'm running a company. I had to get rid of some people. It's extremely painful. It hurt me. I know every one of those people. I know their names. I got a list in my office right now. 2 of their names are scratched out. And 40 of them are like, when can we get these guys back? What positions come first? Who do we, I'm looking for that place to bring them back in at. So anyway, I'm looking to bring those people back as soon as I can. I don't want to be 102 employees. I want to be 2,500 employees, 5,000 employees. I don't want 8,000 apartments. I want 28,000. And I think this creates the opportunity to do that.
Yeah.
But you can't go from 8,000 to 28,000 and from 100 people to 5,000 without making some hard decisions along the way. This is not this isn't a fantasy. This is real life. Even in fantasies, dude, you lose people. Like watch any Disney movie. In the first freaking 5 minutes, mommy's gonna die or dad's gonna die.
Now, you do residential real estate, but then there's the commercial real estate side. And they're saying the commercial real estate market is going to be hit on an unprecedented level because you have a lot of companies that have moved their employees to telecommuting. Once we come out of this, a lot of companies are going to realize, we're pretty much as productive with having these employees from home. Do we really need this big, expensive office? And as these leases start to renew, I think that commercial real estate is going to get hit really, really hard. Now, you own some commercial real estate yourself, right?
Well, to me, I call what my multifamily, that's commercial real estate to me. But you're talking about commercial office.
Correct.
So I own commercial residential. I own the office building where I work.
Yeah, but you don't rent it out to a bunch of businesses.
No, I'm the only guy here.
Right, that's what I'm saying. I'm talking about people that own high rises that depend on companies filling up their high rises.
Floyd Mayweather told me he owns high rise. I'm like, you bragging or complaining? He's like, oh, I'm bragging. I said, maybe you're going to be complaining in the future. So look, I don't think office goes away though. I don't think the team goes away. I think people are social creatures and they want to work together. I don't think if you go back 1,000 years, tribes, man, people hunting together. I ain't worried about the coronavirus, frankly. I'm worried about the economic crisis and thinking and people not you need a team, man. You need a team. What's football going to do?
Yeah. What's any sport going to do at this point?
Come on, dude. It ain't a game if people aren't hitting each other. I need to see them spitting in each other's faces. You know, what would the world be like if Mike Tyson didn't bite an ear? Like you got what is the UFC gonna do?
Yeah.
Like we're not gonna stop going to events. And I hope people don't think that like we're not gonna have human interaction. This is a virus. Whether it was synthetic, the CIA had something to do with it. Maybe it's the 5 thing. Yeah, 5G. I mean, 5G's in 4 countries. I don't know how it's really powerful if it can wipe out, like do this to 154 countries. But I think we go back to sitting around fires, eating marshmallows, French kissing, and everything else.
Well, a lot of businesses.
I ain't having sex with a mask on. I can tell you right now. And if I do, it's going to just be for different reasons.
Well, a lot of businesses were already on the edge before this happened. So, for example, they're saying AMC Theaters is probably not going to survive.
Yeah, doesn't need to either.
Neiman Marcus was already on the brink of bankruptcy. They're probably not going to make it.
That's right.
A lot of businesses that were really struggling. If you were struggling in 2019, you could pretty much throw in the towel in 2020.
That's right.
Yeah. And at the end of the day, I guess
nobody need look. If this doesn't kill AMC Theaters, the virtual headset will. It's just a matter of when now.
Yeah.
And that again is another reason why I don't want to invest in stocks, because the cycle of a company today is like 7 years now. WeWorks. I didn't invest in WeWorks. How many offers you think I got for WeWorks? People see me. Yeah. I did $890 million worth of real estate deals last year, almost $1 billion. I didn't touch WeWorks. I've been offered strip centers, shopping centers, the retail center. I'm like, I'm not doing that. There's going to be maybe 6 or 8 great retail outlets in the country. The Galleria, the Aventura Mall. There'll be one in New York. There'll be big, massive. The one in Minneapolis. There'll be destination points where people travel and go there, and that's their big weekend. Maybe there'll be 18 or 20 of them. We have 10 times more retail per capita in this country than all other countries on the planet, except maybe now for Dubai. But look, go to the shopping centers in Dubai. There's nobody in them. Mm. For shit to work, you need people in them.
Are you buying real estate right now?
You can't buy anything right now. But I would. You can't transact right now. To transact, you got to have a buyer and a seller.
Okay, and why can't you transact?
Because nobody knows, nobody knows what's going on. Like I couldn't get a loan on these deals right now.
Okay.
So Fannie and Freddie are freezed up. The life companies are freed up, like frozen. They'll do business with you, but it'll be 4 or 5 points over the 10-year Treasury. 10-year Treasury's at 3/4 of a point. Should be the lowest interest you ever get in your lifetime. It'll probably be some of the highest money you've ever paid for it, just because the markets are frozen up. The money has to be sold. Like, people don't understand. Look, if the tenant doesn't pay and I don't pay, and Fannie Mae gets stuck with it, Fannie Mae got to call a bunch of people that now own that facility of interest sensitive mortgage paper, basically back paper. Now the bondholders don't get paid. That's your grandmother. The renter thinks he's going to stiff somebody. Dude, you're going to stiff yourself, because that money, by the way, sooner or later ends up in an ETF that you're invested in.
The banks that you're dealing with, are they basically allowing you not to pay your mortgage for now, or no?
They expect me to pay.
Okay.
Freddie Mac, hey, Grant, we'll give you forbearance. Another bank, I called them up. I said, hey, guys, where are we at on this? Hey, man, you need 3 months? Take it.
Okay. And what that means, forbearance, and correct me if I'm wrong, that means that you don't have to pay now, and we'll just tack those 3 months to the end of your mortgage?
It could be the end. It could be this year. There's different rules depending on who the lender is. The big credit facilities, the life insurance companies. I was on the phone the other day with these guys that own about $100 billion worth of real estate, right? They don't have any Fannie and Freddie debt. That's called government subsidized or government assisted debt. Okay. Fannie and Freddie, the biggest housing lenders in the country, are offering forbearance as long as you don't push an eviction. These guys don't use Fannie and Freddie at all. They own 10 times more property than I own. Okay. They use life insurance companies like a State Farm, an Allstate, a Teachers Credit Union. Those groups expect to be paid, period.
Got it.
But that being said, when the federal government says you can't evict because of a virus, then you're like, okay, wait a minute, I can't evict. Then the natural law is this: do I want to evict anybody right now? I can't. I can't even get a sheriff over to my property to evict anybody anyway. Like people need to use a little common sense right now. It doesn't matter what the papers or CNN says. How are you going to get somebody to go evict somebody anyway? And do you want to be evicted? Do you want on your history that you didn't pay for 3 months when you go to your next place? Because sooner or later, the landlord is going to remove you from the property.
Well, number one, are you still flying your private jet around?
I was in it yesterday.
Okay. I guess gas prices are kind of low right now, so you're benefiting from that.
I mean, well, it's, I'm trying to protect the environment.
Right.
Corona, baby. Corona, man. Distancing. My
daughter
was in one seat and I'm in the other seat, and there was nobody else in the plane. So we had 10 feet or 6 feet, whatever.
There you go. Even though you're in the same house with your daughter anyways.
No wonder people hate my guts.
I know, right? Well, the rest of the airline industry just got decimated.
Crazy, man.
Yeah, they're saying that 10% of the bailout for companies is going to go to the airlines.
I believe that.
How do you think this is going to impact America in terms of the global economy? Because they're saying this is a 100-year opportunity for China to become the #1 superpower in the world. Do you think that'll happen?
I mean, they need America, man. The sneakers I have on right now, they're from there. You never want to count a good American out, I mean, we're just a unique group of people that figure out how to, figure out. And this guy that we have as the president, man, this guy can think out of the box. He's not confined by other people's ideas, right? So, there's a chance that there's a chance he'd be like, hey, we're taking all our medicine back. We're not going to have this. There's no reason to have this produced over there. And now we're dependent upon them. We did this with oil and gas already. So, the thing that nobody's talking about right now, Vlad, is like, how do most of these cycles end? These kind of 100-year economic storms. If you look back in history, most of them end with a massive war. And nobody's talking about, okay, how does this escalate to another level to get your attention off of this and onto something else? And hopefully this movie doesn't get worse. But I tell my wife, I'm like, hey, life can get worse.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we actually have it good right now compared to what could happen. Because the last time this happened was in 1918 with the Spanish flu. And I actually looked at charts, and all the major cities kind of, some of them had quarantine, some of them didn't. And you see a lot of similarities. And ultimately, this is how my friend, the financial advisor, Maddie, really kind of explained things to me. He said, look, even with the Spanish flu, with the lack of technology, the lack of communication, I mean, no cell phones. I don't know if did people even have telephones in 1918? Like,
I don't think so.
No television, maybe radio. That whole thing from start to end lasted 18 months.
Yeah.
So if we could do 18 months 100 years ago, it's at least doable in 2020, 100 years later. So, and that actually made me feel a lot better. Being in the middle of it sucks, but it is what it is.
The difference is so many people are dependent upon, currency. The word currency comes from current.
Yeah.
And the money has to move. Money has to move. This is why cash sitting in the ground is worthless.
Yeah. Yeah.
Money has to move for it to have value. Okay. It's once it starts moving around. And the problem was we have uncertainty now. And that freezes deals up. You're not going to go buy a house yet because they're not going to be a seller yet. They're not reasonable. They hadn't capitulated. Even if you wanted to buy a house, if you needed debt, if you're going to go buy a couple $1 million house, you're probably not, you're going to borrow the money. You said the money's cheap. Now you got to have a lender facilitate a loan. And they can't even get to the paperwork right now because they're going to be buried with,
Yeah, no. I mean, when we're talking about buying a house right now, it's like, okay, well, we have to go see the house. We're not going to spend a ton of money sight unseen. That's not a realistic situation, and we can't actually see the house. And then you're just kind of thinking about the whole thing. I mean, with us, it's a little bit different because it's like, all right, I'm not really looking at this house as an investment. I'm looking at my rent and I'm looking at the mortgage, and I'm like, okay, my mortgage for a much bigger house is about half of what I'm paying for rent. So it kind of makes sense right now if I can get the price that I want. If I can't, I'll just stay renting. Not really a big deal. And if the house doesn't go up in the 20 years that I live there, it doesn't really matter. I'm not looking to flip it.
Maybe what you should do is negotiate a long-term new rental agreement.
Well, what I did with my landlord is I basically said, let's just go month to month from now. They actually wanted to raise my rent by $1,000 a month. And I said, why don't we just keep it as is month to month until things figure out? And they're like, okay, fine, no problem.
Yeah, say, why don't you evict me?
We actually had a situation with our last landlord who ended up being like literally a crook. He was in prison when we rented the house. The Justice Department started garnishing part of the rent halfway through, and we knew we were not going to get back our deposit. We were 100% sure because he wasn't paying the pool man, wasn't paying the gardeners. At one point, we couldn't even get into the complex because he didn't pay the homeowner association. So we're like, okay, look, we know we're not going to get our deposit back. We're sure of this. So why don't we just use our deposit for the last 2 months of rent? And he said no. So we said, okay, fine. We got our lawyer, and the lawyer just explained to us, like, okay, just don't pay the amount of time it takes him to evict you. By that time, you'll be out of there anyways. And that's essentially what happened. So we didn't steal anything from him. We just paid him the rent. And then he tried to sue us for $150,000, saying that we did damage to his house, but he couldn't afford a lawyer. So the whole thing got dropped. It's a mess when things really happen like that. And it's unfortunate. But at the end of the day,
well, I'm still trying to figure out why you can't buy a house online without seeing it.
Really, a house that you live in online without seeing it?
Dude, if you find a freaking $30 million house and you can tell you want to live there, you don't need to go visit it.
Yeah, maybe. You never know. You never know. You know, like we were looking at this one house that had like a lake in the back, and then we started looking, and this is actually a flood area. So it's like, know, that type of shit you have to think of. Well, my last question. Last time we did an interview, you said that you credit Scientology with a lot of your success.
Yeah.
What does Scientology tell you right now, and how do you benefit from that?
It suggests flourish and prosper. That's the solution. Take care of yourself, take care of your family, be ethical, do the right thing, flourish and prosper. Make decisions based on what's the greatest good for the greatest number of people. And that's what gave me the courage that's what gives me the courage every day to what decisions do I need to make that are difficult for me so that we can survive, so that I can bring more people back on board, so I can continue to expand, so I can continue to move currency through the system and do my part. We just fed 9,000 families here in Aventura that are first responders, nurses, teachers, firemen, or fire departments and police departments, because those guys are on the front line wearing masks every day, trying to protect people, going to work, serving people they don't even know. So for me to be able to do that, it's about me making the right decisions every day so that I can continue to give and help out, support the community, and do the right thing. So it helps stabilize the environment. So like your friend gave you some good common sense advice that the stock market, the casino will always be open. So they got to keep having stocks. They got to have some winners in there.
Right.
What I know about this planet is, for the short period of time I've been on it, dude, it just keeps coming back. People keep coming back. We survive everything. And I know that every bad spot I've had in my life, as long as I don't quit, I come back from it. As long as I don't quit, I won't fail. Look at my mistakes, drop them, quit doing those, focus on the things I do well. It's a very common sense approach, a very practical, common sense approach to like, hey, what worked last time? What got you out last time? What could you have done last time that you didn't do that would be better for you and the family next time?
Well, I'm not religious myself, so I really look at all religions with a grain of salt, and I try not to really have negative thoughts towards anybody's personal beliefs. Being a Scientologist yourself and seeing that there's movies like Going Clear and the negative kind of stereotypes versus Scientologists. Because I remember when I was first doing research, on the type of questions to ask, I'm like, okay, what should I ask Grant Cardone? And then someone's like, he fired his whole staff. I'm like, okay, send me a link. And the link was to an anti-Scientology website.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? So being something, this is something that you really believe in yourself. How do you feel about so many people bashing this religion?
All new movements get bashed. So look at Jesus, man. Put him on a cross. Put him on a cross. Put him on a cross, man. So look, they killed 11 million Jews. This is what reactive people do. Reactive minds. The reactive mind destroys good things. And that's what I would tell people. Like, okay, why are you watching it? That's what I would tell. I wouldn't even worry about the people that produce the content. I would worry more about the people that read it. I worry about you sometimes. Some of the bullshit you see. I'm like, what's wrong with Vlad? He lost his damn mind again. But I know you do that. You do that just to produce content for the show, because it's like my friend Kevin Hart says, Grant, negative news travels. Negative news travels, period. He's like, it's a damn shame, but just negativity travels faster than positivity.
Oh, yeah. They say bad news will get around the world and back before the truth will even put on its pants.
Yeah, exactly.
And I just want to say one thing before I let you go. And we talked about this a little bit in our last interview about your interview with Jordan Belfort and, how it was somewhat of a train wreck. But one thing that I gained from this interview that really honestly has changed my life in terms of how I look at things is when you guys were talking about sales and you said not interested is a form of interest.
Yeah.
And I took a step back and I looked at all the people, because I get approached by, 100 people a day. Oh, do this, do you want to do that? Do you want to advertise here? Do you want to buy this? Do you want to interview this person? And I felt like, just to be polite, I would tell a lot of people, thank you, and I'll pass.
Yeah.
And I never realized that I'm actually now giving up my time by even responding to somebody that I have zero interest in.
Yeah.
So I just stopped responding based on what you said. I just stopped responding to people that I had no interest in giving up my time to, because then you respond to someone, they respond, well, why not? Well, let me try to convince you to do this. And now you're engaging a person.
Yeah, dumb stuck in another freaking.
Yeah. And
he doesn't understand. For you to tell me you're not interested is a communication.
Yeah.
And the fact that we're having a communication at that moment, we got something. I got something I can work with.
Right.
And all I was trying to tell the audience was, look, when the guy says they're not interested, the girl says she's not interested, it's not the right time. That is a response to continue a communication.
Right.
And because if you just walk away, dude, walking away is terrible. Because now what am I going to go grab your arm? That's a problem. But that's not the situation he gave me, right? But you got to be a free thinker and a bit more mature for you to get that.
Yeah.
No,
it really hit me because I realized about how much time I've wasted on people that I do not want to have any sort of communication with. So I just stopped responding. I started ignoring people, and it just amazed me how much more time I have by that one little statement that you guys made. It was really kind of mind blowing. I remember me and Charlemagne were on the phone the other day. We haven't spoken to each other in years. And I told him that, and he was like, oh shit, like that's crazy. Like I never thought about that. Yeah. It's just very profound, especially people who are very busy and successful.
Yeah.
It's something we don't think about, but that statement right there to me was life-changing. I just want to thank you for it.
Dude, you got it, man. You're the man. I'm glad some good came out of that.
No doubt. No doubt. Grant Cardone, man, congratulations that you guys are good. Thank you for clearing up all the bullshit rumors. I think that's very important. That's what we try to do on Vlad TV, and continue.
No,
success.
you don't, dude. You try to stir it up. You know you try to stir it up, man.
I stir it up, but I'm happy for people's success. I never hate on anybody.
No, I know that about you, and I appreciate it. I appreciate what you're doing, man. Keep putting good content out, and all you guys out there, man, stay safe. The world is not going to come to an end, and if it does, at least be in the game, be on the field.
There we go. Until next time, peace.